Tēnā koutou, potira, tēnā tātou. Tēnā tātou o tātou tini mate, rātou kua whitirangitia, rātou kua katohia I te ringa kaha o te aitua. Ka ki atu kia rātou kia haere, haere atu ki ngā marae maha ki te pō, kei reira oki ai. Ka hoki anō ki a tātou mā, ngā waihotanga iho o rātou mā, nā reira, tēnā no tātou. Wherever you are, I sincerely trust that you're in good health, mind, body and soul, and hopefully not suffering too much cabin fever within your bubble. I continue to urge you to look after yourselves and your families, be patient, and continue to help reduce transmission of this deadly virus. As we prepare to get started into operations next week, it's more than appropriate for me to briefly discuss starting up with you and starting up safely. Hopefully you're as excited about getting back into operations as we are. Nick Scott, Grant Williams, and Nick Stings will discuss starting up at a far more detailed level than I. I intend to be brief and high level. We believe everyone has the right to go home unharmed. We operate in a very dangerous industry. We've taken perhaps the longest break from operations we've ever done. A number of us are probably suffering economically and desperate to secure our financial future for ourselves and our family. A number of us are probably not work fit at the moment. And now we have to contend with a deadly virus. I do accept that this might not be deadly for you. However, if you could please acknowledge that it may well be deadly for someone, one of your workmates, and in their bubble, their child, their partner, their parents. So recognizing these facts, we will provide some structure, we will provide some documentation to assist with a safe startup process. However, what I respectfully request of you, what I urge from you, what I implore from you is to remember that everyone has the right to go home unharmed. This includes free from infection from COVID-19. So please, take your time. If you have a decision to make that has risk associated with it, be conservative. Speak up if you see an unsafe activity. That includes social distancing. Warm into the routine. Warm into the rhythm of work. That's all I needed to talk about for today. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in person again soon. Nick and Grant will go over some more detail very shortly. Please be safe. Ngāmi.
2020 for many will have been a little like starting a 400-metre running race and having made a start, getting down the track, only to hear the starter's gun to return to the start line for some infringement that one of the runners has made. After attending a really great round of safe startup breakfasts with Dallas Adams speaking to 750 of you at the start of the year, we started to hear news of the coronavirus affecting people in China, COVID-19, something we'd never heard about before, a virus of this nature. It shut down harvesting in the initial stages, and then of course started to be felt here in New Zealand as well in the months of March and so on. Well, soon we found ourselves back in the starting blocks, at home in lockdown, and here we've been for at least 5 weeks by the time we restart our operations. In fact, some people have said that the forest industry is been down for some operators for around 60 days or more. So none of this is insignificant, is it? In fact, the word that is being used is that this is really unprecedented. So we find ourselves in unprecedented times, really, in relation to this virus. Nonetheless, I would like to take you back to the start of the year for just a moment or two, and Dallas Adams' recount of the sad loss of both his brother first and then his father a little time later. And many of you gave feedback on Dallas' message in 2 highly relevant points. And I'd like to make mention of these at this Safe Start today. The first of these is that if you're a worker and you're out there doing the hard yards, sometimes under pressure, your goal must always be to refuse to take shortcuts. Isn't that so true? If you're a manager, caring for others, caring for operations, your goal must be similar, but you must do all in your power to de-risk work and not to start work unless it's safe to start. These two clear objectives have never been more important than right now. So we're back in the starting blocks, waiting for the restart signal, if you like. But we must be sure, really, really sure, we are doing everything in accord with the COVID-19 protocols. Now, for some of you, that might be the first time you've heard about the COVID-19 protocols. And we're going to be talking a lot about these today in this presentation and in the two subsequent presentations that follow on from mine. But quite clearly, given the fact that we have been down in level 4, where we've been in lockdown, where economic activity in New Zealand has slowed to a virtual standstill, we cannot risk a bad restart, or a bad run for that matter, or being sent back to a level 4 lockdown situation. So it really depends on us, all of us out working in forestry, that we get this right and we do follow the COVID-19 protocols. For a moment then, I'd like to talk about the COVID-19 protocols for the forest industry under level 3. As I mentioned, some may not be totally familiar with this, so this is a 56-page guidance document for everyone working in forestry. It's been put together by 44 contractors and forest company staff, but reviewed by countless others of people around New Zealand in the forestry industry as well. Yep, it's not perfect, but it provides for almost every operation in the forestry supply chain, including ports and processing, and how our neck of the woods, if you like, interacts with the ports and processing too. Now, if you haven't seen this document, the COVID-19 protocols, the endorsed version, the WorkSafe endorsed version, can be downloaded off the SafeTree website. So go to the SafeTree website and type in COVID-19 in the homepage search bar, and it will come up a little bit down the page with a heading COVID-19. Click on that and you'll be taken to all of the relevant resources. Just looking at the COVID-19 protocols in a little bit more detail, pages 3 to 6 are an introduction, and these cover the basic measures to control the spread of COVID-19. And the key tenets here, by now you'll be really used to these key tenets: stay at home if unwell, wash and dry hands frequently, and always maintain physical distancing. And what that means is 1 to 2 meters between people while we're working, while we're traveling, and so on. So those again, stay at home if unwell, wash and dry hands frequently, and always maintain physical distancing. Now, the protocols outline a framework for each activity that we engage with in forestry, whether it's planting, or harvesting, or trucking. Each of them are covered in some detail, and they all pretty much follow a set format, if you like, a set order of actions to take. So they're quite good for us in forestry because they sort of follow the course of our day, from before people go to work, secondly, once they arrive at work, thirdly, while at work, and then when they leave work. And the fifth one is what to do in an emergency situation. So those sort of steps are all followed in the direction in the COVID-19 protocols. Now, importantly, we're encouraged to think about our restart and to take great care around this. And to further the analogy of a distance runner, we must focus like they focus in their restart. If they're ever called back to the starting line to restart again, they've got to throw the cheering crowd out of their minds and really zero in on the case and the work at hand. It's no different for us. We have to really focus not only on our work risks that we know about, that we commonly deal with, but also all of the new COVID-19 protocols. So as well, the protocols remind us to build our way into work. Now, many of us will have been out exercising over these last 5 weeks, trying to get a bit of exercise. I've seen them walking around my neighbourhood, but hardly as rigorously as a day out on the hill, like you breaker-outs, you tree fellas, you guys processing, cutting up logs. Nothing can really compare to that sort of activity, can it? And 5 weeks off, once again, unprecedented. It's going to take time to get back to match fitness, isn't it, guys and girls? So, look, please take the time to start up correctly to get that fitness back. On page 5 of the COVID-19 protocols, we find the operational startup considerations. Now, this is all about the preparation phase, getting back into work, or getting things organised before we get back into work. Many contractor principals have been working hard in this area, and I must say the work that I've seen some of them have produced is nothing but first class. So well done to all of you proactive folk. But there's still a lot to do, isn't there? And many contractors are yet to begin. And of course, the COVID-19 protocols document is going to be very helpful for you. Bear in mind too that the WorkSafe New Zealand website has got information on starting back under COVID-19 level 3. It also shows that they will be checking on how this section of activity, operational startup considerations, and our planning has actually been applied. So they'll be keenly interested in 3 key areas. And I just want to touch on these for a minute because we can't really stress them enough. They are: 1, physical distancing measures; 2, adequate hand washing and drying facilities; and 3, of course, we shouldn't forget about transportation, transporting workers. Now, of course, these are but 3 of the 15 points mentioned under startup pre-planning, but they are all very important. But physical distancing measures, adequate hand washing and drying facilities, and transport protocols are really key to getting this right. In terms of site startup activities, the next section, Craig Fisher, our operations quality manager, has put together a checklist, and our operations managers will help you, contractors, through it. The key things here are that we don't want anything out of place, nothing out of place, from machinery to mindset to watching out for our mates. We want it all to be in place properly according to the COVID-19 protocols. So if you can imagine that runner, guys and girls, forestry people out there, back in the blocks for the second time, they need to have every human resource focused, don't they, on this restart in order for it to be successful. And we certainly want you to be of the same mind and same focus. And we certainly wish you well in that endeavour and wish you a very safe start back at work. So thank you for giving attention to this part of the presentation. I would like to now introduce you to Nick Scott, who is our Southern Operations Manager for PF Olsen Limited, who will now take you through the next step in the protocols information, which is entitled Recommended Practices.
Thanks, Nate. Kia ora. As Nick mentioned, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Nick Scott, Southern Operations Manager. Apologies for my woolly hair, but obviously lockdown has not been that kind to me. So at some stage I will get that sorted out. Look, I hope you're all well and starting to get your mind and body ready for returning to work. Yeah, it's going to be a challenging time getting back, and this is returning after one of the longest breaks that we've had that I can remember. So this is a high risk time where we need to be very, very vigilant and very, very careful. So look, today I'd like to cover off two main areas. Firstly, I'd like to cover off some key points from the COVID-19 protocols for New Zealand Forest Industries operation under level 3. That is the WorkSafe approved version, which by now you should have been provided a copy of. It's only come out in the last few days, yeah, I'd like to discuss that closer in more detail with you. I'd also like to discuss the front of mind topics for your first day back at work. So as mentioned, you would have all received a copy of that COVID-19 protocols through your contractor comms. Look, if you haven't received a copy, please contact your PF Olsen manager and they'll get you a copy. This document's been put together by New Zealand Forest Industry representatives, and it forms the basis of your ways of working. It's a very important document. Please familiarise yourself with this document and socialise with your work colleagues. Please stay at home if you are unwell. Everyone must self-assess their health prior to attending work. Anyone who feels unwell should not come to work and should phone Healthline to seek advice. Assess your worker fitness before work starts each day by asking them, are you feeling unwell, fatigued, or not in a fit state to work? Or have you been in contact with anyone who is unwell or who has COVID-19? Minimise your numbers on site. Only workers necessary to carry out work should be on site. Any worker who can perform work from home should do so. Visitors to the site should be minimised to essential or necessary work only. You would have heard it a million times already, but I'm going to repeat it again because it's pretty critical for us to minimise and then stop the spread of COVID-19. Practice good hygiene at all times, including cover your coughs and sneezes with your elbow or a tissue. Please use tissues straight into the bin. Wash your hands often with soap and water, including before and after eating and after going to the toilet. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer or equivalent. Avoid touching your eyes, your nose, or your mouth. Clean and disinfect frequently used surfaces at regular intervals. Clean and disinfect frequently used objects such as your mobile phones, your keys, and wallet. Please use PPE as the last line of defence in appropriate circumstances, which should include providing instructions on correct use to your staff. On that topic, please order your PPE from one of the two sources that we have provided you in our contractor comms. Form workplace teams or bubbles and minimise mixing. For example, staggering breaks, defined walkways, separate entry and exit times. Have hygiene and cleaning products available on site. These should include soap and water, alcohol-based hand sanitizers, alcohol-based cleaning products for wiping down areas, disposable paper towels to wipe down surfaces, tissues and gloves, and obviously bags and bins or waste areas to dispose of the used cleaning products. Again, I know you've heard it a million times and everyone's well rehearsed in it, but please ensure that you maintain physical distancing. Maintain physical distance between people at all times. Separation can be achieved through staggering start and finishing meal break times. As far as possible, people should remain in their work bubbles. Handheld two-way radios can be used to reduce close contact between crew members and visitors. All meetings are to be conducted remotely or to use physical distancing. So all meetings should be conducted using either phones or phone conference, video conference, or other technologies which can be set up to be accessed by laptop, tablet, or smartphone. All comms for on-site meetings, such as tailgate meetings, should now take place in a way that maintains physical distancing, or via phone or radio with participants. Again, general safety provisions need to be in place at all times. And it is important that all businesses adapt general safety measures to their specific circumstances. Site registers should also be on site for all workers, including those travelling in work vehicles. Visitors and service providers should also be included on that as well. This is pretty important, and we need to be able to detail and record the contact details of everyone on site so that we can ensure tracing to be done by the Ministry of Health if there is a COVID-19 case on your workplace. The all-important travelling to and from work. So when you're carpooling, the maximum number of people in a car is 2. The sole passenger should sit in the rear left-hand side passenger seat, diagonally opposite to the driver. When travelling in larger vehicles, people should only use the window seats in each row and should use alternate rows. When travelling in vehicles with more than one person, run air conditioning on fresh air, not recirculate. PF Olsen strongly recommends the use of masks when travelling to and from work. Operating a shared vehicle on the worksite. So we have a vehicle or machine that is shared between different drivers or operators. Each user must wipe down at the beginning and the end of each use. That all-important worker engagement. Please ensure your workers are involved in implementing these protocols and have a way to provide feedback on how things are working and when or if things need to change. Your working alone procedures. Please review your working alone procedures and ensure that they are fit for working in these circumstances. Review and monitoring. Ensure you have processes in place to review and monitor the protocols that you have implemented. In the case of emergencies, the usual procedures apply, but please take extra diligence to minimise your risk to COVID-19. Okay, now I'd like to discuss starting up operations on the first day. First and foremost, take it easy. I know you've all been feeling the financial pressures of lockdown, but we need to ensure everyone's safety first. If we do that, the production will flow on from there. Be safe travelling to work sites as new hazards could be present, both on the highway and in forest roads. Reintroduction of everyone on the work site. This is reintroduction not just for COVID-19 related protocols, but for general safety related protocols, your normal site startup. Each individual is also to possess individual PPE. That includes a bottle of sanitizer, soap, paper towels, individual water bottles, and toilet paper. These are not to be shared. Subcontractors and service agents must also be fully reinducted to your site. Please take your time getting your machines ready. Don't rush. Watch out for your workmates. Check in with them to ensure they are okay. And also be aware that you or your colleagues may have other pressures outside work on your mind. Please stay focused on the task at hand and, really importantly, stay vigilant. If you feel at all unsafe, please stop operations and ensure that you resolve the issue. Again, I implore you to please read the COVID-19 protocols for New Zealand forest industry operations under level 3. It's a very well put together document and it should form the basis of your operations under level 3. PF Olsen appreciates that lockdown has been a difficult time for you and your families. And I just want to reiterate that you are a valued member of our team. And without your hard work and dedication, we would not have a business. Your safety is paramount to us. Okay team, that's it from me. I wish you safe travels and a safe startup. Please take care of yourselves your families and your co-workers, and keep health and safety, be it your normal operational or COVID-19 related, front of mind. Okay, I'll now pass you over to my colleague, Grant Williams, who is the Northern Operations Manager. Ngā mihi.
Hello, my name is Grant Williams. I'm an Operations Manager with PF Olsen based in Rotorua. This final part of our Safe Start is focused on managing the COVID-19 infection risks. All New Zealand business needs a plan to manage the risks of COVID-19. Individual businesses need to look at their operations and identify what work can be done safely. We need to protect those most at risk. The key determinant of COVID-19 becoming a serious illness is the existence of underlying medical conditions, especially if these conditions are not well controlled. These conditions include respiratory disease, serious heart conditions, and where a person's immune system may have been compromised. Older people, particularly those who have underlying health issues, are the most vulnerable to COVID-19. Keeping to our bubbles will reduce the risk to the most vulnerable of our folk. Your personal health. If you feel ill, do not come to work. Check for symptoms of COVID-19. Do you have a fever over 38 degrees, a dry cough, or a shortness of breath? If you have any of these symptoms, then immediately call the National Health Line for COVID-19. Follow any advice given and inform your manager of your position. If you do not show these symptoms, keep on the side of caution and stay home. Notify your employer and do not return to work until you're completely well and advised to do so by your manager. If there is a suspected or confirmed case of COVID-19 at work, the first step is to isolate the person from others. Provide them with a disposable surgical mask if available, so that they can reduce the spread of any further infection. Ring the National Health Line for COVID-19. Follow the advice of the health officials. Ensure that the infected person has transport to their home or to a medical facility. Identify who at the workplace had close contact with the infected person in the 24 hours before the infected person started showing symptoms. If this contact is with other workmates, send those people home to isolate also. Clean the area where the person was working and all places that they have been. Make sure that PPE is worn during this cleaning process. At this point, review the risk management controls relating to the COVID-19 and whether work may need to change. Keep all employees up to date on what is happening and any changes to work practices. Travelling to and from work. Travel is a high risk period for infection due to the number of people in close proximity to each other and the enclosed environment. Very considered planning needs to be applied to any travel. In standard cars and utility vehicles, the maximum number of people in the vehicle is 2. The sole passenger should sit in the rear left-hand side passenger seat, diagonally opposite the driver. For larger vehicles, such as vans, the requirements are more stringent. The driver must ask each passenger if they have any symptoms of COVID-19 before they enter the vehicle. The driver must obtain a letter from his employer stating the number of passengers that can be carried and in what formation. Every passenger must wash or sanitize their hands immediately before entering and immediately after leaving the vehicle. The driver is to wait outside the vehicle while loading and unloading. Passengers need to maintain maximum practical distance while loading and unloading of the vehicle. Start filling the vehicle from the rear using the seats furthest from the driver. Passengers should always occupy the same seats when they travel. Maximise the spacing between occupants. Examples would mean only using the window seats in each row and alternating the use of the rows. Take measures to minimise the travel time in crew vans, and while travelling in any vehicle with more than one person, run air conditioning on fresh air, not recirculated air. To reinforce the Ministry of Health existing guidelines to keep yourself and others safe. Maintain safe physical distancing. In alert level 3, this is a minimum of 1 metre apart. Wash hands for 20 seconds regularly with soap and dry thoroughly, or use hand sanitizer. Clean and disinfect common surfaces frequently and keep other surfaces clean. This concludes our Safe Start presentation. In closing, we must remain committed to saving lives while preventing the spread of COVID-19. When we move to alert level 3, our focus is a safe restart with this goal in mind. This is not a return to business as usual. There is no room for complacency, and the use of COVID-19 safe practices is of critical importance. Thank you for your attention. Stay safe.